Mr. Rogers was a deadly military sniper. The legend presents Fred Rogers as a decorated Marine Scout sniper or Navy SEAL whose cardigan sweaters hid tattoos for each confirmed kill. It circulated through late 20th century email chains and early web forums, where the contrast between a soft-spoken children's host and a covert warrior proved irresistible. Variants placed him in Vietnam, assigned him elite training, and framed his television persona as a way to atone for violence. Rogers' biography does not intersect with military service. Born in 1928, he registered for the draft but was classified unfit in 1950. By the time the SEALs were established in 1962, he had completed theology studies and entered children's television, later ordained as a Presbyterian minister. Interviews and biographies describe a career focused on child development and education. No records show enlistment, training pipelines, or unit assignments, and photographs and testimonies contradict the tattoo story. Confusion appears to stem in part from a different Fred Rogers, who was a Marine sharpshooter and briefly registered a security business under that name, which was then conflated with the television host across online gun forums. From a tradecraft angle, the claim lacks the paper trail that follows real sniper selection courses, marksmanship schools, unit rosters, and networks of veterans who train together. The myth flourished because it inverts expectations. It overlays a culture hero of gentleness with a hidden record of lethality and recasts kindness as controlled strength. The truth is, there was no service, no sniper training, no tattoos linked to kills, yet the story persists in memes and periodic online revivals whenever a film or article renews interest in Rogers' life, a reminder of how internet folklore rewards paradox more than documentation. The epic sniper duel between Vasily Zaitsev and Major Koenig. The duel narrative places Soviet sniper Vasily Zaitsev in a days-long cat-and-mouse engagement in Stalingrad against a German master marksman labeled Erwin Koenig or Heinz Thorwald, often described as an aristocrat, a high-ranking SS officer, and director of a Berlin sniper academy sent specifically to kill Zaitsev. The story traces to wartime Soviet propaganda and later memoir retellings, then spread globally through film. The setting is real Stalingrad in late 1942, where snipers exploited rubble, broken sightlines, and predictable movement to attreat exposed troops. Zaitsev's rising kill totals made him an ideal figure for morale. What lacks foundation is the German counterpart, but military historians agree that no German records corroborate a Koenig or Thorwald with the attributes assigned by the legend. The timeline is awkward as well. Institutionalized German sniper schools scaled later than the date implied by the story, making a Berlin Academy head in 1942 unlikely. A museum scope inscribed with claims about a 1936 Olympic champion further blurs things. The name does not appear on official Olympic rolls, and the inscription reads like propagandistic curation rather than provenance. Counter-sniper practice in urban fighting does not resemble romantic duels. Multiple shooters, deception, overlapping arcs, suppression, and patient surveillance dominate, with commanders reluctant to risk senior specialists in theatrical one-on-one contests. The narrative holds because it compresses a dreadful siege into a clean arc, a humble shepherd pitted against an elite, personalized avatar of the enemy. Films amplified that arc into a character study and, in doing so, cemented a motif stronger than documents. The debunk is not an attack on Zaitsev's real record. It is a boundary around one embellished thread, absent a matching German paper trail, coherent timelines, or verifiable artifacts. The duel reads as a composite or invention layered onto an actual sniper's wartime service. The story remains in circulation through clips, documentaries, and social posts that prioritize plot over archives. The magic ricochet shot. Hollywood movies and video games taught audiences to expect bullets to bank like billiards. In the trope, a sniper angles around into a wall or vehicle and deliberately deflects it into an unseen target with lethal precision. The kernel predates the sniper mythos. Artillery once used ricochet fire to skip round shot across terrain for area effect, never for pinpoint accuracy. Modern entertainment remixed that imagery into rifle marksmanship. Physics does not cooperate. On impact, bullets shed a large portion of energy as heat and deformation, often fragment or tumble, and leave the surface at angles governed by variables a shooter cannot control in real-time: material hardness, surface texture, obliquity, bullet construction, and residual spin stability. After deflection, poor shape and disrupted flight produce erratic bullet trajectories and shallow penetration. Ballistically, the idea of banking around to strike a specific vital zone behind cover is a fiction. The trope endures because it solves a storytelling problem on screen. It allows the camera to show both cover and consequence without cutting to a scope view. The tradecraft truth is simpler and less cinematic. When a target cannot be engaged directly, snipers reposition, bait exposure, or use other assets rather than risk a wild deflection. The legend persists in viral trick shot clips and game mechanics that reward banked shots, but there is no documented operational case of an intentional, repeatable ricochet employed as a precision tactic. Snipers always aim for dramatic headshots. Popular culture codes the headshot as the sniper's signature. Games grant bonus points. Films slow the frame, and social edits select only the most visually striking impacts. That aesthetic lodged a misconception that professionals aim at the head by default. Doctrine does not support it. In combat, center mass on the torso is the standard aiming point because it is larger, moves less erratically, and offers higher first-round hit probability. The goal is neutralization and mission outcome, not a graphic tableau. Police marksmen and snipers present a different case in narrow circumstances, such as a hostage taker whose hands or torso are shielded while the head remains the only exposed lethal control zone. Even there, shots are constrained by legal and procedural thresholds. Field manuals and training materials reinforce these divides, and veteran instructors repeatedly describe center mass as the norm in war. Ballistics supports the doctrine. The human head is a small, constantly moving target. At range, tiny errors in wind call, range estimation, or shooter movement can turn a headhold into a complete miss. A well-placed center mass hit with a 7.62 x 51 or similar cartridge destroys vital anatomy and ends the threat without the risk profile of an unnecessary head attempt. The cinematic preference survives because it communicates mastery quickly to a general audience. But most real engagements aim at the largest effective target. Headshots occur for specific reasons, not theatrical effect. Snipers are cold, emotionless killers who work alone. The lone wolf stereotype treats the sniper as a detached figure who crawls away from humanity to make isolated decisions in a scope's tunnel. It compresses a team role into a solitary silhouette and confuses focus under stress with lack of feeling. Modern forces structure sniper employment around teams. The classic two-person element divides labor between a shooter and a spotter. Some units add a third member to control security or equipment. The spotter often holds seniority, managing range finding, wind calls, observation of trace, communication, and post-shot correction, while the shooter concentrates on position, breathing cadence, and trigger control. Radios and reporting duties fold into the spotter's workflow. The division exists because the shooter's field of view through magnified optics is narrow, while the spotter's glass and instruments preserve broader situational awareness. Accounts in the material emphasize that many practitioners worry about bystanders and take pride in precision as a means of reducing collateral harm. That is not emotionless. It is professional restraint within rules of engagement. The myth endures because film and games simplify teams into a single anti-hero and because a stoic persona reads cleanly on screen. But the reality is cooperative, technical, and procedural. Snipers can work alone when required, but doctrine, survivability, and effectiveness keep them in teams. Snipers use visible laser sights for precision. The glowing red dot fixed on a chest has become a shorthand for imminent impact. Audiences learn to associate the dot with high-end marksmanship, and many productions place that dot on rifles that, in real practice, would not broadcast their aim. Long-range shots are made through quality optics with calibrated reticles, turret adjustments, and holds derived from range and wind solutions. Laser equipment does appear in sniper kits, but not in the cinematic fashion. Laser rangefinders measure distance to feed ballistic calculations, and infrared designators invisible to the unaided eye mark, or cue targets under night vision for coordination. A visible laser does not compensate for curved trajectories, wind drift, or density altitude, and it advertises the shooter's presence through backscatter and specular glint. Parallax and Bohr offset also limit any laser zero to a narrow envelope, which collapses at extended distances. The misconception blends CQB practice with long-range work. Close-quarters carbines sometimes carry visible or IR aiming lasers for rapid index at short range. That image then migrates in fiction to bolt guns on rooftops. The operational summary is simple. Visible lasers are not used for precision sniping. The red dot belongs to storytelling grammar, not to fieldcraft. Snipers hold their breath for minutes during shots. The dramatic breath hold is another myth propagated by cinema and video games. Deep inhale, clenched jaw, heartbeats thudding in the audio mix, then a perfect break. Over time, that sound design hardened into the belief that elite shooters hold their breath for long stretches to steady aim. Marksmanship instruction teaches the opposite. Shooters breathe normally, settle into a natural respiratory pause at the end of an exhale, and fire during a brief. Calm window often only a few seconds long. Prolonged breath holding elevates carbon dioxide, increases heart rate, and induces tremors and visual disturbance that degrade precision. Veteran snipers describe timing the shot between heartbeats while maintaining relaxed muscular tension. The myth's appeal is obvious, as it frames the sniper as someone who dominates his own physiology through strong willpower. But the practice is really a matter of pacing and minimalism rather than endurance. The verified technique emphasizes consistent respiration, controlled trigger pull, and a shot released inside that short exhalation lull. The long breath hold belongs to drama, not doctrine. Chris Kyle sniped looters. After Hurricane Katrina. One of the most persistent modern tales asserts that Chris Kyle operated from the Superdome roof during the 2005 New Orleans disaster and shot dozens of looters. The story circulated through interviews, forum threads, and commentary after his broader fame as the author of American Sniper and the film adaptation. Investigations sought corroboration in police reports, coroner records, and military documentation, and did not find evidence of such a mission or matching fatalities. Public statements from officials and fact-checking roundups place the claim in the unverified category. The material at hand notes the broader media environment in the immediate aftermath of Katrina, when early reports of widespread violence were later revised downward as communications stabilized and rumors were sorted from documented incidents. Urban sniping of the kind described would leave a trail. Command authority, deconfliction with law enforcement, communications logs, recovered projectiles, and incident paperwork would follow any sanctioned use of lethal force, especially at the scale claimed. Rules of engagement and the risks of overpenetration or ricochet in a flooded city center further complicate the scenario. From a tradecraft perspective, The story conflicts with basic accountability and ballistics risk management. The narrative stayed alive because it offered a simple protector archetype during a period when institutions visibly struggled. It also attached itself to a figure already at the center of intense public attention. With no verifiable documentation and multiple inquiries reporting negative findings, the event as described does not stand, but it nonetheless resurfaces around anniversaries and discussions of Kyle's life. The longest sniper kills are impossible without superhuman skill. Records at extreme range provoke two reactions: admiration and disbelief. The second response often declares such shots impossible under real conditions, placing them in the realm of fable or suggesting they required abilities beyond human capacity. Modern examples are documented. A Canadian JTF-2 team recorded a confirmed kill beyond 540 meters in 2017 with a Macmillan TAC-50. Earlier marks include British and American shots beyond 2 kilometers. Verification in these cases involved multiple observers and systems that captured range and environmental data. The bullet's flight time was on the order of many seconds. The entire engagement depended on precise range finding, repeatable rifle performance, stable shooting position, meteorological inputs, and coherent team communication rather than a single person's intuition. Physics sets the constraints. Wind drift at long range can move a bullet feet for each mile per hour of crosswind. Density, altitude, temperature, spin drift, Coriolis effect, and target motion multiply uncertainties. Tools and processes exist to tame those variables: laser rangefinders, weather meters, ballistic solvers, dope refined through previous engagements, and a spotter who tracks trace and calls correction. When environmental alignment and methodical execution converge, a hit at distances once dismissed becomes feasible, though still rare. The myth of the superhuman shot persists because it celebrates lone heroism and compresses a team process into one trigger pull. The technical reality is more interesting. Extraordinary outcomes emerge from disciplined procedures, capable hardware, and favorable conditions. The shots are not routine, but neither are they magic. The ice bullet assassination. The disappearing projectile is a durable spy-era fantasy. An assassin molds a bullet from ice, fires it, and leaves no trace as it melts. Pulp stories, Cold War rumors, and episodic television recirculated the idea for decades, sometimes blurring it with genuine clandestine research into covert tools. Thermodynamics and mechanics make short work of the claim. Propellant gases and barrel friction generate heat and pressure far beyond what a brittle, low-density ice slug can survive. Rifling imposes torsional loads that would shear or fragment any remaining structure, and the mass deficit relative to lead drops ballistic coefficient and retained energy to impractical levels. Experiments replicated the failures on camera: disintegration in the barrel, immediate breakup at the muzzle, or negligible penetration at contact range. The concept persists because it offers the perfect crime in a single visual. It also borrows credibility from real covert programs that pursued silent darts and toxins, then implies a kinship that does not exist. The factual summary is clean. There is no credible case of an operational ice bullet killing that left investigators with nothing to recover. Thanks for tuning in. It really means a lot. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with fellow firearm enthusiasts who'd appreciate it. And if there's a topic you'd like to see covered next, drop your suggestions in the comments below.